Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk New York Sports. And we're back from hiatus, and I'm joined as always by my good friend Keith Engel. How you
Great,
doing today, Keith?
great to be here with you, Dan. As always, trying to get used to our new studio here that with all these giant logos of different colors. It's really nice. So, but doing well here. Trying to. We might have some. I hope we don't have a interruption with a thunderstorm. I have a generator, but if the cable goes out, it won't help us, or the internet. But hopefully that'll wait a little bit. It's been very stormy here the last couple days.
There's a couple people on the network based in New York. I know about lunchtime, one had his power go out, and he texted me in a panic. And by the time I got the message, it said, "Unstraplet, it's back." So,
Well, if something happens, stay in here, and I'll try to get out on my phone if something were to happen. But we've done that before too.
yeah, definitely. It is good to be back. It's been a while, and always good talking sports with you, Keith.
Same here, Dan. I've missed our time together here. The last, I guess, it's been, I don't know how long it's been. A month again, maybe. I don't know, but maybe a little longer. I can't. I lose track of time. You get as old as me, man. Time is. I'm doing battle with time all the time. I can't. I don't. Things that seem like they were 7 years ago or like 7 weeks ago, and vice versa. So, but it's been a while, and it's good to be back with you.
Yeah, it is, and before we jump right in. Are you serious go this morning? I caught some of it, and I know you had a packed show, as you and Carlos were saying. Best time of year for Sports Rise, a full calendar, optimism as well, whether it's college or NFL. How did the show go, and who won?
Well, I always win. He thinks he wins sometimes, but he never wins. Because the problem is when he's wrong, he never remembers he's wrong. He always thinks he's right. I admit I'm wrong, so that still makes me the winner in my mind. But we had a good show today. We weren't really at each other's throats too much, a couple times here and there, but we were just talking about overreactions, and we'll have them in the NFL this weekend. Overreactions from the first college football week, first full week of college football, and some topics in the NFL. Who might be the comeback player of the year? And we talked a little quickly only about the Yankees, which I'm sure we'll get into today. No optimism in baseball left for us Yankee fans, obviously, or Met fans, but in football and college and pros, yes, everybody's in play right now, so everybody's still excited. Some over excited.
I mean, I always say, whether you're going to win it or not, every team should be able to dream of at least making the playoffs. Being a Jets fan, I know what it's like not to dream, but the beauty of the season is if you're even just averagely one, you should be able to dream of being in the mix come November, December, and that's the beauty of the season. It allows us fans to dream what might be, even if we're too optimistic. So I
Yeah.
love this time of the season.
Yeah, look at that's what's good about sports, right? Everybody starts 0-0. Everybody's got the chance, at least at that point. And this year, you should dream, unless as you found out the other night, and I'm sure we'll get into today. I crush your dreams by jinxing your team.
So again, we've got a lot to talk about. And this isn't strictly speaking New York sports, but it relates. We had the first game of the season last night, first Thursday night football. What was your thoughts? Because it kind of has an impact on some of the teams. It's pretty much how I expected to go. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, I think he they probably would have won if Travis Kelce been there. But in my opinion, the two best players outside of Patrick Mahomes is Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, and I kind of feel that you can't lose those two players against a plucky Detroit team. So
Yeah,
um, I thought it was too much to ask. He tried his best, but and I always think the Chiefs are slow starters anyway.
they tend to be. You're right there, and as far as last night's game, I would agree. If Kelsey played, they'd have won. I said this last year, and I've said it a few times this week. Um, People got all up in arms and thought, well, Kansas City's done when Tyreek Hill left last year. Well, I said then, Kelsey's the one that makes this offense go, not Tyreek Hill. Kelsey makes all those other those wide receivers who they're okay. They're not world beaters, but he makes all of them better, because there's so much attention on him. So I think if he'd played, Kansas City would have won. Probably would have won, but again, as badly, they didn't play well, but they were. If Tony catches the ball and it's not an interception for a touchdown, they probably win. So it's you can't get overexcited. It's not a bad loss for Kansas City. It's not in the conference. So this is the type of football you get in September, though, Dan, because of the lack of real being able to really prepare in training camp because of the restrictions that are on the teams. They can't practice in pads more than 10 days. And, you got 3 preseason games and nobody plays. So you're get ugly football in September. And that's just what we've had to come to live with.
Well, and I said to Tanner last night in the pre-game, this whole offense where they don't really have a number one, it works because you have Kelsey being the number one. I think we can all agree most of those receivers are just guys. So to have East the de facto number one, to have him gone, it really shines a light on those role players, what they can and can't do. And for all the fans out there, what was so hot on Kadarius Toney at the end of the season, he looked not
Oh,
great. To be honest with you, that was his chance to maybe shine a light on what he can do. I know a lot of Giants fans on my feed was a little victorious over that performance.
I do think he'll still be a key member of that team. I
Yeah,
think he'll come back. He was a look at you said it yourself. He did contribute down the stretch and help them win a Super Bowl last year. He was very productive, I thought, on special teams and on the offense in certain situations. He just needs to focus. It's a lack of concentration. That play right there is an easy catch, and he's looking to run with it before he's got it, and it turns into a disaster. And it goes on Mahomes' record as an interception, but that's on the wide receiver, obviously not Patrick Mahomes. They'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Everybody always panics, right? Because you're right. The Chiefs do start slow, and the end of September we'll be going, what's wrong with the Chiefs? And then they'll be in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, how I feel about Davis Tony is that you can't doubt his talent, but it didn't work in New York because in Kansas, he doesn't need to be the guy. He doesn't need to be a high cat guy. He's just another piece of the offense. But that offense was so devoid of playmakers and even just solid veterans that I kind of feel he's never going to be that high character guy. So I think it was the ideal fit. A team was already a winning team. He kind of slotted in very well. He wasn't going to be moaning all the time because honestly, there's nothing to moan about. So I think it was the ideal situation for him and for the Chiefs, who needed a bit more power on the wide receiving core. So I think the fit is everything in NFL for that for the guys what have talent but maybe haven't shown it in one spot. It's all about the fit from my point of view. Keith, are you on mute?
And I coughed and I forgot to turn it back on. Sorry about that. Um, I agree with you 100%. This guy's talented, and if you can deal with the faux pas like he had last night, you're going to get some of those through the course of the season. You hope they're not going to rear their ugly head in a big situation. And like I said, while it did help them or contribute to the loss last night. This loss isn't earth shattering to the Chiefs. I mean, it's one loss in 17 games, and it's not a division game. It's not a conference game. So at the end of the day, it probably won't matter at all.
Audrey, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm more concerned about the Chris Jones situation than
Yeah.
I am the defeat, to be honest.
Why is he in the stands? I mean, you're holding out. To me, I talked about this a little bit on the Mac and Jack show this morning. I don't understand why he's there and in the stands if he's holding out. To me, that's a distraction to the team. Already him not being there is a big enough distraction. Now he shows up to the game. It's a little weird to me.
My thing is, I featured this because they was unfilming the Super Bowl banner in the stadium, but to me, he wants to crank up that pressure. He's done a few things. I know he's had certain events with celebrities, and they say, I hear Chris Jones is retiring. I think he wants to crank up the pressure. I
Yeah.
said to Tanner, I think this started when they let Tyreek Hill go to the Dolphins. I think he thought to himself, I could be next key contributor. They let him walk and he was on offense. I think he decided then I'm going to have to play hardball in this next negotiation because they're not going to be loyal to me. So now's the time, and I think he's been stewing on it for
Yeah.
years, and he's determined to get that deal. To be honest with you, which personally I think there's wrongs on both sides. Do I think he should play? Yes, but on the other hand, what more does he have to do to get paid key contributor for them? I don't think there's a time clock on his production. And if they paid him at the end of the season, they probably would have saved themselves maybe even as much as 5 million because that D line market has increased dramatically.
It has. You're absolutely right. And, but I'm never a big fan. The guy needs to show up. He needs to play. He's got a contract. Show up and play and work. Let the other stuff will work out. I'm never I'm never a big fan of guys who are under contract not showing up to play. I mean, it's just you signed a contract. You should not have. If you didn't think that'd be fair market value at the end of it, then you shouldn't have signed it for such long term. That's all. Whatever.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. I've always been a big component that even if it brings the contract down, all contracts should be guaranteed like the NBA, because then there'd be no holdouts. You get what you get. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it would get rid of a lot of the drama in the off season, much like this.
We've seen more and more guaranteed money in the NFL than we ever saw before, I think, outside of quarterbacks, right? And if they don't guarantee them money, then they get a big signing bonus to make up for it, or partially make up for it anyway. But you're seeing used to be nobody but quarterbacks got guaranteed contracts, and even sometimes they didn't. But you're seeing more and more of it today. And I don't blame the players. Their careers are short for the most part, right? So I'm all for everybody getting as much as they can. It's capitalism at its best. But when you've already got a contract, you need to come to work and honor it.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on, we may as well start with your team, the Patriots. So, um, tough test, but on the other hand, is it the ideal time to face the Eagles? Are they sleeping? I don't know the emotion of what's happening this weekend for the Patriots. I think it might be their best chance of sneaking a win. I know Stevenson is banged up. I believe he's gone to his status is doubtful, I believe, but I think he's probably banged up and he'll play. Just the nature of this time of the year. How you feeling about the game? Just a couple of days away.
I do still have Ramondre questionable where I'm seeing.
Yeah.
There could be maybe that's changed officially. This is the Patriots site. Still has questionable. As far as a game, I think you're right. I think if they're gonna if the Patriots are gonna beat the Eagles, week one is the best time to do it for a couple of factors. There's still a rust factor as I talked about. We saw it last night with both these teams, I think, and I think you'll see it again for the lot in most of the games this week because of, as I said, the lack of training and training camps today. So this is their best chance. Plus the excitement that'll be going on. No, I think the electricity in this building will pump this team up at least to start the game. With the Tom Brady celebration going on, and I wouldn't doubt that one of the surprises we'll see will be number 12 being retired or going into the Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it. So. Listen, do I think they're going to win? My guess is, and I think I said it on your show the other night, I see them losing, but losing close, 35-31. They got a chance to win this game, I think, maybe if they stay close because, again, of the factors I just talked about. Week one is, it's a toss-up. That's when you're going to lose. Good teams can lose because they're just not yet prepared. Totally.
You never know what you're going get week one if a team takes a leap or so, or not. This time last year, we had so many question marks about the Eagles. Did they have their quarterback and Jalen Hurts? Week one, they come out and absolutely come out the gates very fast and never really looked back. So you never know what a team is until you get into the season. So we will see.
Agreed. Again, it'll be a lot of fun now to see, and got to keep Mac Jones healthy in this game. That's my big worry. The offensive line, again, is my biggest worry on the team. If this offensive line stays healthy, the starting five is not awful. It's not great. It may not be very good, but it's good. The problem is they got to be healthy. Strange and Onweno are questionable, but I think they're going to play. And if they can keep Mac Jones and give Mac Jones time to throw the football, and this is a very good defense, obviously, and a great pass rushing defense, I think the Patriots have a fighting chance. Look for a lot of those old school, the old school Patriots anyway, bubble screens and things that get the ball out quickly, maybe to slow down that pass rush a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. One thing what I can think of is there's been one big change in the D line. Hargraves left for the 49ers, so whereas Davis was a rookie last year and had limited looks, he will step up. Is he fully ready to step up? The Patriots need to take advantage if there is any indecision. I don't think there will be, but you just never know. So that might be an interesting battle on game day.
Yeah, listen, the Patriots always struggle against quarterbacks that are mobile, like Jalen Hurts, and this is one of the reasons that they really wanted to. After they cut him, they really wanted to be able to sign Malik Cunningham back to the practice squad so that they could use him on the scout team when they're playing guys like Jalen Hurts. We'll see whether that has had an effect and they can be a little more effective on defense. It's a good defense, but they always seem to struggle with this type of quarterback, always. Even when they were really good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we will see. Before we move on, I know we talked about it a little bit. Riley Reef was a pickup what I liked for the Patriots, and I'm not going to say he's a Pro Bowl talent or anything like that, but he's a solid guy as being on good teams. Couple of years with the Bengals, couple of years ago. I like the pickup by the Patriots because they normally do a good job at picking up solid pros and elevate them maybe just 10%, but I thought he was going to be a great addition by them. So get a bit of moving around on that O line is never a good thing. But the Patriots are known for being flexible with their O line, putting them in different spots.
Yeah, they've always moved guys around quite a bit. And Reef, as you said, it would have been a good addition to this team. And I'm not even sure if he's on. I don't think he can. I think he's on the IR where you cannot return. I'm not positive or not. But either way, it's going to be at least, even if it can come back, it'll be at least 6 weeks. But that puts Calvin Anderson in the starting lineup and certainly is probably the weakest link there, assuming the other four are healthy. Dave Andrews is a really good center, and he's really the leader of that offensive line. And if he can stay healthy this year and then keep Cole Strange healthy and Trent Brown doesn't, turn into, the 600-pound man, this team could surprise. And I think a lot of the success of this team will revolve around the health and the success of this offensive line.
Yeah, I'd agree that not you're never gonna have all five guys as like top talents, but if they can keep those three healthy in Brown, Strange, and Andrews, that should be enough with the other guys mixed in. So we shall see.
Yeah, don't forget their struggles too on the offensive line last year were also partly in due to the fact that the guy we had putting the offense together, one of them was a defensive coach, the other was a special teams coach, and that wasn't the best situation. Bill O'Brien being here and Adrian Clem coming in to coach this offensive line is going to make a huge difference all the way across the board, including that offensive line. I'm confident they will get it together here. Even it maybe not early here in the season, but at some point they'll put it together good enough.
I agree. Because even if there's growing pains, what they get out of the offense will be better than the situation what they had last year. It was essentially the NFL version of Ted Lasso right there.
That's a good.
So,
That's an awesome
yeah.
comparison there. I like that. I might steal that.
Um, so moving on to the Giants. So in my notes was key addition, adding Darren Waller, tight end from the Raiders, game-changing addition. So half an hour before we go live, I look at my phone and Connor Hughes um, shares that Waller left training today and wasn't injured at the beginning of the day. That is not good. From what he reports, it's a hamstring injury, which is never a good thing to pick up this time of year. And this is, as one Giants reporter said, this is why they picked him up so cheap, if you will, because there's probably not a player that's more injury prone. When healthy, I think there's an argument he's admittedly there's a fair distance, but the next best tight end after Kelsey. Obviously, it's pick your fancy. Andrews and Hockenson is in the mix, but I thought
I
it's going to be a key addition. They don't have a number one receiver per se, but I thought he was going to be someone of the level to Saquon to add to that offense. So hopefully for Giants fans, that even if he's on a snap count, that he can play a part because he is going to be incredibly important to their season.
He is that position is important, I think, to a quarterback like Daniel Jones, especially somebody who doesn't have an elite wide receiver core. And by the way, I would agree with you. I mean, Walker circa 2019, 2020 was at least not quite as good as Kelsey, but he was Kelsey-esque, especially in 2020. I mean, he had a great season. He had over 100 catches and 9 touchdowns, I think. And he's been injured since. And the Giants knew what they were getting, and as you said, that's why they got him so cheap. So you take a flyer with a high upside. You've also got to, worry about this happening. So
Yeah, I
hopefully,
agree.
he contributes.
It's going to be very important that they listen to their medical staff. He's not a guy what if he's too banged up that you can play, because if you do that, he could miss half the season. He has not had after that season where he got crazy numbers. He's had 2 seasons where it hasn't been good for having him on the field. So, as much as they want him to play week one, I think they're going to have to be very careful how they manage this. It isn't a decision the coaching staff can make. They've got to listen to the medical staff because that's what they're paid to do. So it's going to be interesting what they do here, because I think he'll tell you how serious the injury is if he plays or not.
Yeah, and then again, I think whether they push him or not, unlike the Kansas City game last night, this is an important game for the Giants. It is only week one, but it's a division game against one of the favorites in the division. So you can't afford division losses. This loss would be not good way to start the season for either one of these teams, the Cowboys or the
It,
Giants. So it does carry a little bit more importance than last night's game did.
I agree. And I kind of have the Eagles winning this division, but I'm not sure who I've second, because whereas I think it'll be the Cowboys, I can't say they're 100%. I liked what we saw from the Giants. I think they've got better second year under this coaching staff as well. And probably more importantly, McCarthy's calling plays in Dallas. So if it's rough, could they have an opportunity to unseat them in that second place? I think there could be a chance. I'm going to pick Dallas more than the Giants, but I think it's close. So they've really got to win this game if they have ideas of competing with them. I think it would set the tone for them and maybe get in the Cowboys' heads a little bit as well.
I did pick the Giants to finish second in this division myself, but the margin for error for the Giants
Yeah.
is much smaller than I think the rest of these teams that we're talking about. Much smaller than the Eagles, obviously, smaller than the Cowboys. They do have an advantage. I think both of them have an advantage with McCarthy calling plays, of course, as you said. But I do think the Giants are good enough to possibly surprise the Eagles. But again, that margin for error for this team is difficult, and this is you got to win your division game. So this is a big start for I think for the Giants. Momentum is going to be important here for them.
It is. So we will see how this plays out. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this game. Our good friend Alan is a very big Cowboys fan, so I'll be keeping an eye out for this game.
Big game for Daniel Jones too, and I think it's important that Brian Dable and this offense, they I don't want to say keep it simple, right? But he cannot go out here and be bad Sunday night. Coming off the new contract, if he has a bad game and they lose this game badly, whether Waller's in there or whatever, it's going to set a leave bad taste in people's mouth. I think the Giants, win or lose this game, they need to get Daniel Jones in a good place to have a good game, and not put him in a bad position to do poorly. Sorry, I was having trouble getting my words out there for a second. They need to put him in a position to succeed, right? Because the fans will turn on him pretty quickly. I can't believe how much time I have to spend defending Daniel Jones, Giants fans, but
I know. Also, we can't bank on them doing as well if they don't get more out of that receiving core this year, because it was kind of an anomaly where it was just Daniel Jones and Saquon what really had any big effect on that offense. More people need to step up this year. So if they don't, then they could be in dire straits, because we don't know what we'll get from Washington this year. I don't necessarily expect them to be changes for the division, but we don't know. They've got new OC there. Will that help them make a statement this year? So the Giants need to step up their game and certainly get more support for Daniel Jones.
agreed. Agreed. It's going to be an interesting division for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. Talking of interesting divisions, going back to AFC East, the Jets faced the Bills on Monday night. Certainly circled on my calendar for a while. Going to be an intriguing game to watch. How you feeling about it, Keith?
I think it's going to be a very good game. I do think the Jets get off to a good start here. I have picked them to win the division and be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. They'll lose, but I do think they will get there. Not a Jet fan. I really am rooting for a train wreck here and want to be very wrong with this prediction. But this is a really good football team. Aaron Rodgers, for everything I've ripped him for, it's not because he's a bad football player. He's a really good quarterback, and that's what this team is. All it lacked. It's all it lacked. Their defense is championship caliber. It's better than the Bills by far. Now they've got a quarterback that is at least as good as the Bills quarterback. Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career maybe a step back a little bit, but overall he's probably still better than Josh Allen. This is going to be an interesting matchup, but again, an important division game to get started with. I mean, again, the Patriots play the Eagles, right? They lose a non-conference game in the grand scheme of things, probably not that important. Bills and Jets, this sets a tone for both these teams. They've got high expectations on the Jets, obviously, maybe lowered expectations on the Bills, and they want to kind of right that appearance. So this is a game that's important to both of these teams for lots of reasons, and I'm excited to kind of watch it and see them play for real. I mean, I watched the Jets on Hard Knocks. I don't know if you watched any of the Hard Knocks, but it was very interesting to see behind the. I understand, right? A lot of stuff is edited for entertainment value, but Aaron Rodgers seems to be enjoying his time so far with the Jets. And if he's the leader that they need, then the Jets will do very well. If he turns into the selfish Aaron Rodgers that we've known from the past few years in Green Bay, then it could be the train wreck. So it's going to be fun to watch, though.
Um, I personally, I've been Wood's biggest fan in the last few years, but it's going well at the moment. I think he feels respected by the Jets and in Green Bay. I think through the lack of help, he felt disrespected. It almost seemed like what he asked for, they'll do the opposite just to spite him at times. So I think it's just it's not about giving him control because if you notice that list, what he gave them, they barely signed any of the players. I think it's about how they approach him, whereas Green Bay, I think, made it in on no certain terms. They don't care what he thinks, they'll do what they want. And if he tells them what they want, they'll do the opposite. So
Mm.
I think he feels respected in New York. That's my take from it, at least, anyway.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, he even restructured his contract where he never did that in Green Bay, in which I always got all over him for. He wanted, more toys, but he was never willing to give up the money to help them acquire them. But he's done all that. He's been the perfect person so far. If it's an act that a lot of my followers seem to think is, most of them are Aaron Rodgers haters, as was I. But you still can't fault the way he plays on the football field, except for here, look at me. They should have beat the Buccaneers in that championship game. He could have walked into the end zone. We can revisit all that, but I'm not getting into his face. I've had some of my followers send me the video of him yelling, and I saw it on Hard Knocks. He got all over the offense when they were bad on a practice and screaming. And that's what quarterbacks do, though. That's how they lead. Right? You get in guys' faces and you challenge them to be better. Tom Brady did it for 5 years. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers has the right, as the quarterback of the team, to get in the offensive line's face, to get in wide receivers' face, and make them, plead with them to play better, to play to their capabilities. I didn't see anything in that was, Aaron Rodgers being the old jerk Aaron Rodgers. That's what every quarterback should be doing. That's leading your team. That's not anything else. Now, if it becomes something more and those players are thin skinned and can't take that, then again, now the train wreck comes into play.
I agree. I mean, I know it caught a lot of attention because a few weeks before he said there'll be no more shouting at O-line or receivers if they muck up. He
He really wasn't
has
that
got
pathetic.
older. I mean, whoever believed that, what are you smoking? You're on better psychedelics than Aaron Rodgers, apparently, because I read that and sort of laughed to myself. Yeah, you wait until they don't block a pass rush or something. Anyone that believed it, then I don't know how I can help you because I think
Listen,
we all know what happens, and even the most chilled quarterback will do that. If you show me a guy what doesn't get upset by being sacked or a drop, then I'll show you a loser, to be honest with you. So I've no problem with that at
I'd
all.
rather
To be
have that.
honest, I'd be more concerned if he doesn't.
Yeah, think about guys like Jay Cutler who got all the talent in the world, but they don't care. They don't get in anybody's face. They don't yell at anybody. They just kind of walk off the field after they punt again, and they don't get riled up. I'm not getting on Aaron Rodgers for getting on his offense to stop
Yeah,
making mistakes. By the way,
yeah,
he also included himself in how badly they played on that drive. It wasn't just,
yeah.
I mean, wasn't everybody else. He didn't do well either, but you didn't see that part because the clip you find on Facebook or wherever you find it is designed to make him look bad, right? So,
Now, what I will concede to your fathers and everyone else is he doing a performance of sorts? Yes, he knows. He's a very bright man. He knows
oh yeah,
that what the New York media can be, so he knows maybe sugar it a little bit, get their meeting out of his hands, and then if there's a loss, they won't come after him. But I've no problem with that. Optics is everything, so I don't really have a problem with if he's doing what he needs to do. He can put on whatever performance he wants. To be honest with you,
well, reality. We all know reality TV ceases being reality as soon as the camera comes on, right? So, it is what it is. And I hate that I find myself having to defend a guy. I mean, I've ripped him for a lot of things, but he's the best chance the Jets have to win a Super Bowl in the short term.
yeah,
So embrace it.
I agree. And I think a lot of fans don't realise how good the defense is because how many games, even during that run last year, how many NFL fans watch Jets games? Probably not many. They probably know there's been an upturn, but I think people are sleeping on the defense still. And from my point of view, I think it's got better than last year. They had there was a weakness at safety last year. By all accounts, it's got better. Undrafted free agent Tony Adams basically didn't play down all preseason, so that tells you how highly they think of him. Added more depth to a D line, where Will McDonald drafting was a bit perfection when it first happened. The more I see of this young man, I absolutely love what he brings to the table. Adds something we didn't have, and I don't think he'll play a high percentage of the snaps, but that could work for them playing third down, pass rushing opportunities. I think he's a star in making, and Jermaine Johnson looks a different player. I thought he had a solid rookie season. He's absolutely bulked up, and the
Mhm.
key to him is he can set the edge, stop the run as well as pass rush. So I'm expecting a very good season from him. I'm probably the most excited to see him because I think he's going to be phenomenal.
We talked even late last season and certainly in the offseason about this defense, and it was I felt it's championship caliber last year, he said, and it's definitely better this year. You got Sauce Gardner, as good as he is, it's the second year. He's going to be better than he was last year. You got the things all the guys you talked about. You got Carl Lawson a year removed from his injury, which I think he'll be better this year than he was last year. Quinnen Williams is just he's a leader on that defense, and he's a really, really good football player too. I don't see a weakness on this defense. I really don't.
Yeah. And everyone pinpoints Sheldon Rankins left at D tackle. Now to highlight that loss, they moved Michael Clements inside, got him to bulk up, and added from Seattle Woods and Jefferson. So even that, for the same money, they've added 3 guys. What I think just one of them is equal to Rankins. So there's so much depth here. They like their rotation system, and the eighth guy in that room is Bryce Huff, and he has been getting rave reviews for his third down rushing. So it's unbelievable how deep this D line is, considering that 3 years ago they didn't have one guy what could give you a nosebleed, to be honest with you, but they've got 7 or 8 guys. What it's really a top job now. I wish they could have done the same thing with the O-line. There's some concerns there. I think when everyone's healthy, I'm fairly confident, but can you be confident in a 38-year-old at left tackle and Mekhi Becton at right, who spent the last 2 years on IR? Mekhi is a bit of a doubtful weekend. He's missed practice with illness today. Now I expect him to play, because if it's just illness and he misses the game, that's a bit of a concern. So I see him playing, but I know Jets fans are in a bit of a panic about that, but I think he'll play.
The interesting thing is we can talk about the offensive lines. I think we mentioned this the other night too, that every team in this division seems to have big questions on their offensive line. So it could be of all the talent in this division, the offensive line that plays the best and stays the healthiest will be the one that comes out at the end, the victory with the victories. And we got a comment from Ed in Columbus, who certainly was part of my college show a couple of weeks ago, talking about the Jets, reminding him of the Browns. Experts have mixed opinions, but Watson and Rodgers ball out. I'm not a big Watson fan, but I would certainly take Aaron Rodgers over Mr. Watson all day long. Not the this year Browns, Ed, but just saying.
Yeah, Ed, thanks for your comments. Ed's a contributor here at LTS. Does great work on Monday nights with his crew. So,
I didn't know that.
and
Check him out.
he's always one for an interesting comment.
He
We'll
stayed
send
very
him
much with
stitches.
college football. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
Yeah, no.
I was just saying he contributed a couple of weeks ago very heavily to the college football huddle, which was greatly appreciated.
I bet he did. I'll leave it that. But thanks, Ed, for your support. Now, Keith, lastly, we've got to talk a little bit of baseball before we wrap things up. So, not
Perfect. Good
being
friend.
great for the Yankees, but youth movement. Are you a fan or are you not? Because I think it's what needed to be done. I would argue they probably should have done it at least 6 weeks earlier. How you feeling about it?
Real quick before I say that, I agree with Ed here. Dan is the man. So good kudos for you. Yeah, they probably should have done this sooner. I mean, you feel different energy in this locker room, or not this locker. I'm not in the locker room watching the games. You and I have been together a lot recently, but especially since the Yankees really went in the toilet, right? Fortunately for you, I guess. It's one thing to play bad baseball. It's another thing to play bad and boring baseball. And they aren't boring right now. It's fun to watch the kids play. Um, Dominguez has been really good as advertised, and I think it's time to build this team around the Dominguezes, the Wells, the Volpes, the Perazzas, and Judge, obviously, and Cole, and hopefully maybe Severino maybe has found it. I don't know if they can rely on him next year or not, but let's build around him. Do what the Astros have done. Do what the Braves have done. Do what the Orioles have done, even to a greater extent. Use your kid, build your farm system, build around your kids, and then fill in with the free agents that you need, and not just try to build a team of stars. It doesn't work. It doesn't work here. You see what happened in San Diego. It's a mess. You saw what happened across town with the Mets. This is no look. The model should be the Astros, the way they've done it the last 8 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm intrigued by this, and I think it's going to be interesting how the season ends for them. Infallible experience, which would be garbage time type stuff for the experienced pros. So they're finally at least watchable for the fans because they'll buy some bumps from these young men. They won't take it from experienced pros. So at least it gets them through the season and hopefully buys them a future in the process, or at least some stepping stones to the future. So
I agree. And there is something to play for this year because they've got a streak of 30 years finishing above 500, which has never been done in any sport. It's not even close, I don't believe. And that looked like it was going to end this year the way they've been playing. But they've started playing well again the last 10 days or so, and the kids have been a big part of that.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, we will see. Um, so Keith, I know you've got your Sunday stream of consciousness. Anything special planned?
Well, we'll be, as we talked about this year, this is, if you're doing this type of, I won't say at work, fun, this is the best time for me. It's, you got college football getting into full swing. NFL's kicking off this week. You got the Major League Baseball pennant races coming down to the end. And 2 hours on a Sunday morning doesn't even give me time to talk about everything. And the best part about the Sunday stream of consciousness, hope you pop in sometime, Ed. I'll get myself ready as you do, Dan, for a show, and I barely even get into the stuff I want to get into because my viewers drive the show with their comments, and some of them are off the wall, which send me off the wall. But we have a lot of fun, and I appreciate them being part of the show. They're my co-hosts, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So we'll get into more of it this week. I'm sure the NFL will be a big topic of conversation this Sunday, as well as the Saturday slate of football. If we can watch any of it, I mean, if Disney and Spectrum don't get other people involved and we can watch some football games. Don't get me going on this, Dan.
Everyone be sure to check out Keith on Sunday, and just want to promote two things. So I've got a new show starting Sunday at noon Eastern time. I'm doing NFL Countdown show with Alec, of course, big commenter of both of our stuff, and Matty are both fellow UK fans. Starting that, kind of some fantasy outlooks. Ryan's going to drop in, and um, got three guests coming in for a 10-minute review of how they're feeling heading into the game. So everyone be sure to check us out then. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern time, a pre-game of Sunday night football. I've got our good friend Alan talking Cowboys. I couldn't ask another Cowboys fan, had to be Alan, and ex-Giants tight end Derek Brown's dropping in to debate. Both Johnny and Rob's busy as my co-host, so I'll be flying it solo with the guys. So be sure to check in on LTS. While there's NFL, there'll be someone doing a show, so be sure to check us out this weekend.
sure Alan will be there with his rose-colored glasses firmly in place.
I'm sure he will, hence why he's a guest rather than a co-host. We have to have impartiality here, LTS.
Good stuff, Dan. Thank you. Great job. Look, I'll be watching some of those shows when I can, obviously.
Okay, thanks for that, Keith. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, Ed for commenting. Always good to see you. And most of all, Keith, great to be back on there with you. Had a great time talking with you.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're back in the saddle here, Dan. And certainly, as I've always told you since we started doing this, it's a great way for me to end the work week is to work with you. It's not work at all.
Thanks, thanks for that, Keith. Yeah, great time to start the weekend off. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. We'll be back next week. And until then, let's talk sport fans. Thanks for watching.
Have a great weekend.